Identity is an illusion. In Buddhism, the doctrine of anatta, or non-self, posits that the self is not a permanent, unchanging entity. Instead, it is an ever-shifting composite of experiences, thoughts, and perceptions. Buddhists believe that by understanding this, one can achieve liberation from suffering and reach Nirvana. This concept challenges our deeply ingrained perception of personal identity. And the intriguing question is, does neuroscience support this ancient teaching? Let's begin with the believer's view. According to Buddhist doctrine, the self is like a river, constantly flowing, never the same from one moment to the next. This idea is central to Buddhist practices such as meditation, which aim to help practitioners directly experience the fluid nature of reality and self. In this framework, the dissolution of the rigid self is not just a philosophical concept, but a pathway to enlightenment. Now let's turn to the field of neuroscience. Dr. Bruce Hood, a cognitive neuroscientist at the University of Bristol, has explored the concept of self in his book, The Self-Illusion, published in 2012. Hood argues that the self is a construct created by the brain, an amalgamation of memories, beliefs, and sensory experiences. This aligns closely with the Buddhist notion of anatta, suggesting that what we perceive as a stable identity is, in fact, a fluctuating process. Moreover, research by Dr. Michael Gazzaniga, a leading figure in cognitive neuroscience, provides further insight. His split brain studies in the 1960s and 70s revealed how the brain creates a coherent sense of self from disparate neurological processes. When the connection between the brain's hemispheres is severed, each hemisphere can operate independently, sometimes forming distinct personalities. This finding underscores the notion that the self is not a monolithic entity, but a construct of the brain's storytelling. Despite this, some argue that the persistent sense of self is too strong to dismiss as mere illusion. Psychologist Paul Bloom, from Yale University, contends that while the self might not be a singular, unchanging entity, it still serves as a useful construct for navigating the world. He emphasizes that our sense of identity can provide continuity and meaning, helping us to make decisions and form relationships. However, a study by Dr. Judson Brewer at Yale University, published in 2011, challenges the necessity of a fixed self for achieving well-being. Brewer's research on mindfulness meditation demonstrated that participants who reported a diminished sense of self experienced reduced stress and increased emotional regulation. These findings suggest that dissolving rigid self-perceptions can enhance mental health, supporting the Buddhist view that the self is not essential for a fulfilling life. A compelling counter-argument is the evolutionary perspective, the self as an adaptive mechanism. From this viewpoint, the formation of a cohesive identity might have evolved to enhance survival, allowing individuals to predict others' behaviors and navigate social complexities. Yet this does not negate the Buddhist perspective. Rather, it suggests that while the self may have an evolutionary utility, it remains a constructed narrative rather than an inherent truth. In synthesizing these insights, it becomes clear that the Buddhist doctrine of non-self finds substantial support in both neuroscience and psychology. The self, as we perceive it, is indeed a construct, useful perhaps, but ultimately not a fixed reality. The evidence does not merely suggest this, but strongly corroborates the Buddhist understanding of identity as a fluid, ever-changing process. Thus, it can be concluded that the notion of a permanent, unchanging self is false. Both ancient teachings and modern science converge on the understanding that identity is not an intrinsic essence, but a transient narrative constructed by the brain. So what happens when you let go of the self?